up, Taiwan? I'm Sally Jensen with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A series of earthquakes rocked Taiwan overnight. A magnitude 6.1 tremor with an epicenter off the coast of Hualien in eastern Taiwan hit just after 2 a.m. Saturday. A 5.8 magnitude tremor followed half an hour later, with smaller aftershocks throughout the morning. There are no initial reports of fatalities or injuries. The country's weather administration sent out an alert to mobile phones across Taiwan. It was the first time many people received one since the magnitude 7.2 earthquake that struck Hualien in early April, killing 17 people. Over 1,000 aftershocks have been recorded since that tremor. Taiwan is sending a team of experts to rebuild after the earthquake in Hualien. Many of the buildings that are marked for demolition or declared unsafe after this month's magnitude 7.2 earthquake are in the eastern county. The government is also earmarking around $630 million in funding for the reconstruction efforts. That's on top of the nearly $43 million in private donations collected to help deal with the earthquake's aftermath. Now, many Hualien residents are trying to sell their homes, but the region's vulnerability to earthquakes is driving would-be buyers away. Chris Gorin reports.
The people of Hualien in eastern Taiwan know the earth beneath their feet could move at any time. This month's magnitude 7.2 earthquake is the second big one to hit the region in just 6 years, toppling buildings like this one. Some people displaced by the 2018 quake thought they'd found a new home here, but once again, violent shaking has left them with nowhere to go.
我们买房子当初就有贷款了，还了贷款又所剩无几，在这高房价的时候，只能先找一个比较便宜的吉尔式住宅去买，结果就又再碰上了。
Dual survivors like these illustrate the difficult housing situation in Hualien. Local people face two problems. First, new apartment blocks built to the latest, strictest codes are beyond what most can afford. This leaves people stuck in old, vulnerable buildings. Even if they wanted to sell their homes, there's no market. The idea of living in such places seems too risky for would-be buyers. Some say public housing could be the answer to this dilemma.
如果国家愿意用社宅的方式，让民众有可以先租个房子，而且金额又不高，来帮助民众来度过这个。
Another solution could be rezoning agricultural land to quickly build new subsidized developments.
中继屋它也可以变成一个永久住宅。新建完成之后，短期我们先去做这个灾民的安置，等到这些灾民离开，那也可以提供花莲地区这个社会住宅。
Whatever officials decide to do, Hualien's geography means earthquakes won't be going away, something that will likely impact residents' decision to live with the risk or leave for more stable ground. Joseph Wu and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
Chinese President Xi Jinping says his country's relationship with the U.S. should be mutually beneficial.
两国应该做伙伴，而不是当对手。应该彼此成就，而不是相互伤害。应该求同存异，而不是恶性竞争。 应该言必信，行必果，而不是说一套做一套。
Xi made the comments during a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Beijing Friday. That's as the world's two largest economies look to stabilize relations despite a growing economic and ideological rivalry. Blinken said he hoped his visit would set the path for deeper cooperation.
We are committed to maintain and strengthen the lines of communication between us, to advance that agenda, and again, to deal responsibly with our differences so that we avoid any miscommunications, any misperceptions, any miscalculations.
The chair of Vietnam's parliament has stepped down, the latest sign of political upheaval in the Southeast Asian nation. An official statement says National Assembly head Vuong Dinh Huay resigned over, quote, violations and shortcomings. His resignation comes just weeks after Vietnam's president was dismissed as part of a crackdown on corruption. Both positions are among the 4 highest in the country's government, and Hui had been tapped as a possible candidate for Communist Party secretary, Vietnam's most powerful job. Chinese fishers have landed on Gaodong Island, the closest point to China in Taiwan-governed Mazu.
今天4月25号，大陆小船爬上我们的高登。
A resident of nearby island filmed the fishers and reported the Chinese boat to authorities. Taiwan's military immediately searched Gaodong and asked the Coast Guard for assistance. The case is still under investigation. Gaodong Island is uninhabited, but the landing has raised public concern as it is under military control. A Taiwanese cheerleading squad has won gold at the ICU World Cheerleading Championships in the US.
World champions, Chinese Taipei!
The group of 20 students comes from Taiwan's National Miaoli Special School. They performed a routine infused with the Western Counties local hacker culture, defeating a rival US squad. This is the second time the school has taken part in the championship. Last year, they won silver. Scientists in Taiwan are struggling to reintroduce an endemic orchid species. As Rick Lowrett reports, the Taiwan peony's natural habitat is now under threat.
For scientist Rebecca Xu, this is the most dangerous but exciting part of the job. She's climbing to the top of a primeval forest in Taiwan's central mountain range, looking for the Taiwan peony, a colourful native orchid now rarely seen in the wild. Spotting the flower is an indication for Xu that this forest is healthy, despite the environmental challenges it faces.
就很喜悦啊，对，如果对啊，像我第一次2014年来这边哇，看到的时候真的是无法形容，对，到现在还可以知道还可以感觉那种喜悦，对，很兴奋，对，然后它就是充满生命力啦。
The flower can thrive in wet and cool climates like that of Taiwan's mountains, but its beauty has put it at risk of disappearing. Forests like this were once dotted with the delicate white and pink petals of the Taiwan peony. Soon after it was identified in the early 20th century, it became popular with florists and botanists worldwide. The flower was harvested from Taiwan's hills in great quantities and shipped abroad. It is renowned in Europe for its ornamental value, and environmental laws here now forbid people from taking the peony from the mountains. But the orchid is facing a new challenge, a rapidly changing climate.
Taiwan, in a relatively small area, combines a lot of biodiversity, which means that a relatively small-scale climate-induced disasters, like a prolonged drought or forest fire, can destroy a very delicate pattern, a system. And that's very difficult to recover.
To better understand the changes that Xu suspects are behind the decreasing number of flowers, she's installed this weather station in the forest branches.
我们是一个旁观者，就是我们是负责，我觉得我们科学家是负责做翻译，就是因为大自然它也不会说话嘛，就是我们是观察，然后把它翻译，然后把它传达出去。
The Taiwan peony blooms for just a few days before its petals fall to the forest floor. It's a fleeting beauty that reflects the fragility of this woodland. Xu is facing an uphill battle to maintain this ecosystem's delicate balance. But she believes that if people understand and appreciate the intricacies of these natural surroundings, they will join her in the fight to save them. Luffy Li, Leon Lien, Peachy Zhuang and Rick Lowrett in Eelgrass County for TaiwanPlus.
An eelgrass restoration project in Japan is helping the local ecosystem, and the government hopes it will help reach the country's climate goals. But is it enough?
それで起こして、はい、中に入れて抜く。で少し砂をかぶせてあげる。
Japanese conservationist Kankei Hideaki has been training groups of volunteers in the coastal city of Yokohama for 24 years, teaching them to plant eelgrass in the shallow waters near Tokyo Bay.
もともと埋め立てる前はアマモがたくさん広がっていた場所です。それが埋め立てられてなくなってしまったんですが。
Overdevelopment has degraded the natural ecosystem, and for many volunteers, planting eelgrass is a way of regenerating it. But these seedlings also play a role in Japan's wider climate ambitions, including its goal for carbon neutrality by 2050.
活動しているうちにアマモも気候変動に役立つ炭素を固定する、貯留するという機能があるということがだんだん分かってきたので。
Japan's Environment Ministry estimates that in 2022, the amount of carbon stored by marine and coastal ecosystems was roughly 350,000 tons, around 0.03% of the over 1.1 billion tons of greenhouse gases Japan emitted that year. While beneficial locally, the restoration of eelgrass would need to be drastically scaled up to significantly curb climate change.
I'd like to see that happen. That would be really interesting. But I don't think it's going to happen because you're going to need a lot of money and you're going to need a lot of manpower, both of which right now, unfortunately, we don't have in Japan.
Japan's seaweed beds have shrunk over the last 3 decades, making restoring the seafloor even more challenging. But Kanka is determined to make his life's work more than just a drop in the ocean. The world's biggest digital astronomy camera is now in operation. Our reporter Sandy Chi gets ready to see into infinity and beyond.
Imagine a camera so powerful that it can clearly spot a golf ball from 24 kilometers away. That's possible for a legacy survey of Space and Time camera, the world's biggest digital astronomy camera. It's been put together at the SLAC National Accelerator Laboratory in California. The camera will be shipped to its permanent home, the Vera Rubin Observatory in Chile, in May.
So this camera has to get from California down to Chile and up a mountaintop. Turns out that's actually a pretty delicate process. This thing it's not particularly fragile. It's designed to survive earthquakes on the top of a Chilean mountaintop. But it is something that we want to take care of on the shipment, and it comes with a lot of support hardware.
The camera is massive, weighing some 3 tons. It has a resolution of 3.2 billion pixels and is the largest digital camera ever built for astronomy. Once installed, it will be able to take about 1,000 pictures every night, gathering up to 20 terabytes of data. Over the next 10 years, the camera will observe the southern hemisphere sky every night. Each of the images it captures will cover a surface equivalent to 40 times that of the moon.
Taking that many pictures, in addition to having them being of more of the sky, in addition to having them being able to see really far, is just a really powerful combination of being able to collect a lot of data. And I like to think of it as if you're looking for a needle in a haystack, which is essentially what you're doing when you're trying to find something cool in space, the more haystacks you have, the more likely you are to find some needles.
With all these images, scientists are hoping to peer deeper into some of the mysteries in the universe, including dark matter and dark energy. They also plan to zoom in on smaller objects in the solar system to gain a better understanding of how it was formed. The camera may also have a role in identifying incoming threats from asteroids. After working on the project for nearly 20 years, many of the people involved are eager to see what the new camera discovers.
It's really bizarre. So for the engineers like myself, it feels like we're tying a bow on it, sending it out the door. It feels like it's coming to a close, but in reality, it's just this cool transition to kind of handing it over to the operations team and the scientists, because for them, it's like they're itching to get all this data. So it's this transitional phase, and it's just really exciting to be a part of it.
The camera is scheduled to be installed at the Vera Rubin Observatory in May, with its first images released to the public in 2025. Justin Wu and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Sally Jensen. Take care and see you next time.